Hi, I'm Mark, and welcome to this video on how to enchant books in Minecraft. Now, if you're relatively new to Minecraft, you might be a little confused about this whole enchanting and combining and other things with books, but it doesn't have to be that way. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how simple it can. Okay, it's never going to be simple, but it can be a lot less confusing. So let's get started. If you look in my hand, I have got an enchanted book. And you can tell because it's all shiny and shimmery and stuff like that. Now, all I need to do to create an enchanted book is combine a book with some lapis lazuli on an enchantment table. That's all it takes, which sounds distinctly familiar to enchanting any other item. And that's exactly true with books. When it comes to enchanting them, they're just like any item. So let's open up our enchantment table. And let's first take a look at something like a sword. Now, if you look, we have three different levels of enchant here. We've got the Smite 1, the Sharpness 2, and the Smite 4, all of which have to do with swords. But if we put a book up here instead, we now see that we've got Efficiency 1, which is a tool, Protection 2, which is armor, and Efficiency 4, which again is a tool. They are kind of mixed and matched. And you're going to see that with books. You're not going to see all from one family, or rarely. You're going to see this mix and match. Now, you'll notice something else. If you're accustomed to enchanting items, you're going to see what level you've got based on how many pieces of lapis lazuli you have in here. In this case, they're all lit. That's because I'm in creative mode. You're also going to see that they were lit without having any XP. Again, that's because I'm in creative mode. So there are going to be some differences here. I'll try to point them out when we go past them. But otherwise, keep in mind that there are some differences regarding XP and enchanting and things like that. So all right, we've got our book and we want to enchant it with this third level, which is in Efficiency 4 enchantment. So we'll take that. And we now have our Efficiency 4 book. And we'll get rid of our lapis. That's a creative thing again. If you were in survival, it would automatically delete your lapis lazuli. Now we got one enchantment on there, but just like items, sometimes you'll get multiple. So in this case, we got a Sharpness 4 and an Aqua Affinity. Totally different enchantments, but you got two of them to pick from. All right. So that's the basic way to enchant a book. You could now run off and do whatever with that book and you would be done at the enchantment table. You could throw it on an item, on an anvil, and do all those other things. I'll show you how to do that later. But right now, I'm going to give you a couple of reasons you want to do books over doing items. All right, so the first one is you can store enchantments. Oh, these are my notes over here, by the way. You can store XP as enchantments. So think about this. Let's say you have got a trip to the Nether coming up, and you don't want to lose 30 levels of XP if you die. Well, what you can do is invest that in books. So you start throwing enchantments on books, and with 30 levels of XP, you can get a lot of enchantments. And you store up the books, you put them in a chest, you go off to the Nether, and you die. You haven't lost all that XP. You've stored it as enchantments. Now, true, you've kind of been forced into the enchantments here, but think about it. Think of all these enchantments that would start getting added up. When it comes time to enchant a sword or a pick or something like that, there's a pretty good chance you're going to have some of the enchantments you want. And it's as random as you would get if you were picking them up here. So hopefully that makes sense. Another advantage is it allows you to select enchantments. And that's what I was just talking about. If you've got a sword and you want to enchant it with sharpness, you can pick a sharpness 3. Or you can pick something else. You can pick knockback instead. All right? So you get a little more choice on what you're putting on your items. Another good thing about books is that it allows you to combine enchantments. Now I'm going to show you that in a little bit, but what I mean by that is you can combine enchantments on books. So you can put multiple enchantments on a book, just like you see here, That's got multiple, but you can add books together and get books with more enchantments on them, which is kind of cool. And higher enchantments as well. All right. It allows for more than one enchantment on an item. So let's say, for example, we do this. We enchant this with a level 1 enchantment. All right. And we got protection 1. Now, let's say we want to put another enchantment on there. We throw it on the enchantment table, we put our lapis up, and nothing shows up. That's because you can only enchant once on an enchantment table. That's it. You can't enchant anymore. That's where an anvil comes in handy, and it's really where books come in handy. And I'll show you that in just a little bit. Okay, so another big advantage is that it allows you to share your XP. Now what I mean by that is by pouring your XP into a book, you can hand that off to somebody else. Now again, if you have a big collection of books and somebody's looking for a knockback enchantment, you have a knockback enchantment, you can hand it off. And you know exactly what you're giving them at that specific time. You don't have to worry about going and trying to get a knockback enchantment or them trying to get a knockback enchantment even though they don't have the XP to do it and blah, blah, blah. You can hand off your XP in the form of an enchanted book. And they also make good trade items as well. Now, enchanted books will come other places. You'll find them in chests and dungeons. You'll find them when you go fishing. Some villagers will trade for them. And there's a couple other ways you can get them as well. You can also build higher enchantments. And I talked about that a little bit ago. Let's say, for example, you have a power 1 and a knockback 1. You could combine these to create a sword that's got both of them on. However, you can also combine, let's just say we had 2 power 1s, and we can combine those into a power 2 book. And that's the only way that you're going to do it if you don't use, if you use the anvil, that's the way you can do it, is to combine those books. Now you can put them on one book and then put that book and enchant an item. I hope that made sense. That seemed a little confusing, but I'll show you that in just a few minutes on the anvil. The last one is, it's a good way to reset an enchanting table. And let me show you what I mean by that. If we go on the enchanting table and we go to get our diamond sword enchanted, and we can see it's got Bane of Arthropods, sharpness, and sharpness. All right, we take it off, we put it back on there, Bane of Arthropods, sharpness, sharpness. It's going to always be like that no matter what we do. However, we can reset the enchantment table just by throwing a book on. Now, books are cheap. You can just throw them away. So we'll grab this enchantment. We throw it in here. We don't really care. We got a sharpness 1. All right, now watch. We got Smite instead. We got Unbreaking 2, and we got Bane of Arthropods. All right, so it's a good way to reset an enchantment table. Come here, go over there. All right, so there are some bad things, however, that we need to keep in mind. One of them is it uses a lot of XP. Why don't we go down by the anvil? Isn't this nice? Got a little hallway here. Go down by the anvil, and you can combine items on the anvil, books and items, I should say, but it's going to take you XP. Costs you XP here. Costs you XP here. What's the problem with that? You end up getting billed twice. You're going to lose a lot more XP by using books. That is a downside, and there's no way of getting around it. So keep that in mind. It also gives you random enchantments that aren't coupled with an item. That is definitely a bad thing, because you want enchantments that are coupled with the specific item you're looking to enchant. So if we throw an item on the enchantment table, or a book I should say, we might get 3 different, let's say we put a sword on there, we might get 3 armor enchantments. Nothing like we need at that time, and that's a bad thing. Another bad thing is if you get 2 enchants, usually only one is usable. So let's go back to our book here. We've got, let's go back here. We've got the one that's got 2. There it is. Notice how those aren't related. So you're typically not going to get 2 related enchantments if you get multiple enchantments like that. All right. Last one is it wears out this anvil. Eventually, the anvil is going to break, and that's an investment of 31 iron ingots. And so the more you use the anvil, the more it's going to wear out and eventually break. And those are the disadvantages. So let me go through a couple of the how-tos on here. If you want to store your enchantments, that's going to be all down on the enchantment table. All right. If you want to select your enchantments, though, this is the place you come. So let's grab a shovel. We already have one there, but all right. And we say, I want a shovel with, let's find something here. Of course, I'm not going to find it right away. Power, sharpness, unbreaking. Unbreaking 1. And we put that in there, and then we go, that's not working. That's because it's backwards. It seems like it should be this way. I want to put the book enchantment on here, but that's not the right way. Put your item there, put that here, and you will take and transfer that unbreaking 1 to this item. And there you go. So now we have an enchanted item. But let's say we want to add more than unbreaking. Well, this is where things can come in handy. Let's see if we got something here. Of course, we're not going to have another thing I can put on there. Okay, here's an efficiency 4. All right. Now, we've got our unbreaking 1 and our efficiency 4 in there. So now we used another book and combined them to make a better shovel. And that's the cool thing. Now, you can also do that with books. Let's say we've got a sharpness 3 and a knockback 1. All right. We go on this book. Now we have a sharpness 3, knockback 1 book. It's a good way of combining them so that you can create these nice combinations of enchantments without having to try to throw them all onto an item. So it's a nice way of doing things. Now, another thing that you can do is you can build higher enchantments. So for example, let's see if we have 2 here that I can use. Sharpness 1, efficiency, there we go. Well, no, that won't work because there are certain levels that you can go to. I was going to say we could combine the sharpness 4 with the sharpness 1, but that's not going to work because sharpness 4 is as high as it's going to go. So let's see what else we have here. Protection 3, fire protection, sharpness, power 1. Oop, there we go, sharpness 1. There was one down here, wasn't there? Sharpness 1. Now we have 2 sharpness 1s. We can combine those on a book into a sharpness 2. So you can combine 2 of the same enchants into a higher level enchant. And there we have it, our sharpness 2. Okay? And I think that just about covers the things that you can do on the anvil with these. If I missed something and you're familiar with this, please let me know in the comments. If I did something wrong here, let me know in the comments. And most people will tell me if I did either of those. I shouldn't say most people, but there will be people who will do that. So hopefully this cleared things up a little bit for you. If you like this video, please leave a like, share, subscribe, all those things. If you didn't like this video, keep it to yourself. Thanks for watching.